talk about we've been at war for 500 years, and the war has evolved, but the people don't know they still in a state of war. So they going about their day to day business in the police state thinking this is normal. But that's because nobody don't know that before the 1800s there wasn't no prisons over here. The first prison was built in Pennsylvania in like 1870 something.
They were like camps, right? Rod Hayes, like
no, the first prison it was built by Quakers, and they originally created for the Quaker community, and then the government took it and ran with it. Mm. What they called in slavery was we was being confined to the family farm, and nobody was allowed to leave. Then they took Big Mama name off the house and called it the Big House. Like we not gonna know that we needed to picket porches, wrap around picket porches for the babies. That's why they call us porch monkeys. All the babies used to. We didn't have no cribs, no playpens. I mean, when they take them out the crib and they want to crawl around, they gonna crawl around on the floor in the house. Or in the summertime, when everybody outside, they bring the babies outside and put them under the shade of the wraparound porch. Now they can crawl around all they want on the porch. They ain't going out in the yard. But we, by us being so far removed from what we used to do, we can't even see how what we used to do was weaponized against us and used as tools of oppression. Everything that we did was either monetized, villainized, or flat out made illegal.
I think he wants to release the files because I know, like, it's sad too because people not even talking about his assassination attempt anymore. And I think that I think him trying to release these files will also show, like, obviously some governments who play here with MLK, RFK, and JFK. But then we can get the understanding that it was some governments who play and trying to take him out too. So I just think
history right now. It was the corporate government was fighting the republic government. That's what the deep state versus the people of the republic was about. They're going backwards. We came in, we started off tribal common law jurisdiction. Then we ended up under the 1776 order of the republic that overthrew the Continental Congress and it overthrew the Iroquois Confederacy and the Cherokee Confederacies. So all of those was merged into the United States Corporation like we agreed to it, but they knew we didn't because they wrote about it. Mm-hmm. They waged war on us. They even got where the government was putting bounties on us, but we think they're talking about somebody other than us.
I just wanted to ask Sharice something. Sharice, was you trying to say that you think that he was doing those assassination attempt situations so he can be something like MLK and?
Oh no, I don't think that he had anything to do with it.
No, not have anything. I'm saying, but you think he's trying to do in like some comparison or something like that?
Sure. I mean, because I think what happens is a lot of times is that we don't realize how much the government be at play with a lot of corrupt bullshit. Even before we was all born, some of us, was born. Mm-hmm. So
that's. Did y'all see the Hadassah complaint where she came out to say there's someone that's already exposing the assassination attempts and saying one of the major government officials were working with the CIA in Pennsylvania to try to do that assassination. Hadassah, she's been out making videos. Have you seen that, Rod Hayes?
You're supposed to be I think it's the governor of Pennsylvania.
The governor of Pennsylvania. Yep. So do you believe her, or do you think she's just doing it for clout, or do you think that's accurate?
I think she is the person that was given the task to leak the information. Everybody gonna call her crazy until they wait till this dude Kash Patel get done ripping apart the FBI. Because they didn't already close the CIA. You got to remember, COINTELPRO was a collaboration between Central Intelligence Agency and Federal Bureau of Investigations under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover.
So y'all actually think that it was not a setup? A lot of things be setups. I don't
I mean,
know.
I don't think it was a setup on his by him. I don't think that, but you know, who knows? Who knows with all of this stuff that goes on? But I just don't believe that.
It's in the script. His assassination was in the script before he ever took office.
Mm.
They had already
And
put
it's
it.
Josh Shapiro. That's his
You
name.
think that he was planning his own assassination attempt?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so when I say it's in the script, this is what I mean. They gave it to us as a prophecy.
A reality show. The whole presidential thing seems like a whole reality show anymore.
It's 100% a reality show.
Huh?
It's 100% a reality show.
Yes, it just seems like it's so animated. Like
it's totally animated and it's totally scripted.
Yes.
But we keep believing that shit real, and that's where the problem coming in at.
Right.
We keep looking at them people in DC as if they some kind of way different from the people that make movies and music in Hollywood.
Right.
It's the same but different.
Hence,
They all
the
playing
Truman
the same
Show.
thing.
The Truman Show is what it really is, for real. That's some real stuff. If y'all haven't watched the Truman Show, watch it. With Jim
I am
Carrey.
Nisha. Now that you
It's not weird with the airplane crashes, but that has nothing to do with politics in DC.
don't really think so?
Not directly. It's indirectly related, but it's not directly. It's part of the same conflict. And these people will F somebody up in order to push their agenda. They blew up Giant Africa because he wouldn't go along with the agenda. Let that sink in. They blew this man and his whole family up, Philadelphia move, because he didn't want to go along with their agenda. He wanted to be free, and he wanted to live as a free man in this society. And they told him, "No, we can't have none of that freedom shit going on." And then they started trying to murder them all. That's an act of war. That's not no policing. That's war.
Yes.
He ain't the only one. Look, Joseph Sinque was trained by the CIA to get a group of black boys to start a black army to fight against Charles Manson's family and start the race war to set off Helter Skelter. Joseph Sinque, aka Calvin DeFries, and Charles Manson both did exactly the opposite of what they was told to. They locked Manson ass up for the rest of his life, but they blew Calvin DeFries up, Sinque. They blew his ass up. Literally, like on the 6 o'clock news, building going up in big old mushroom cloud of fire and smoke blowed his ass up. They ran up in there on them Panthers and shot the shit out of them in New Jersey, in California, in New York, in Chicago, then murdering them.
But
That's
listen,
not policing, that's war.
right, but listen, just like Asiatic 777 said, first it was the drones. They was going all crazy all over.
That was to desensitize you from the orbs.
But right after that, then the plane crashes. Like,
look,
and all this happened when Trump came in office. That's the reason why I'm saying something's a little weird with that.
Okay, so they got two factions at war. They got two factions. One faction don't want to surrender the power back to us. Right? And then you got the part that the faction Trump working for that don't give a F what the other faction want. And they already know that when they on their way out and they know they lost and there's nothing else they can do, only thing left is chaos. They're going to keep trying to cause chaos. I keep telling these people, y'all think I'm playing, get your babies out of these people's schools because they next. But everybody just think I'm just talking. They think I'll be just talking. They keep telling us. They just dropped a movie about the school shooting crisis to bring it to the forefront of everybody's mind that your child not safe in school. That's about to come out.
And I'm glad you said that, Brother Raw Hayes, because even Trump is even putting in incentives so people can homeschool their kids. And maybe there's a reason for that too, so that we can pull them out and do what we need to do on our end, because obviously, you know, we are really in some real unforeseen danger. So I mean, like, I appreciate him putting in this census so that we can homeschool our kids and attempt to do it, because we do need more of that versus the indoctrination.
And the planes is just a continuation of the chaos on the way out.
Yeah.
The deep state, as they call the side that's losing, they call them the deep state. They the ones responsible for sending all of the American wealth around the world, but don't spend none over here. How you got the wealthiest country and you ain't nothing but a third world country with a Gucci belt?
Trump done cut off everybody. A lot of people we've been cutting them off. Crazy.
Yeah, but y'all speaking like Trump has. Hello?
Who's that?
Hey, welcome. Say hi first.
Hello.
Okay,
How you doing?
My name is Chosen Kemet. I'm about Not Yet We Are. And I'm listening to you guys talk about Trump do this with these executive orders and everything, and nobody's talking about the fact that he's in the pocket of Israel and the Ashkenazi Jew. You know what I'm saying? He's not really doing. It's all smoke and mirrors. And the tip on the assassination tips and everything else was smoke and mirrors. So white people would look at him like a hero.
I'm not. So you can. I'm not. What you? I mean, what about? Why you think that you making that statement? Like,
well, that's a good point, because Trump does support Israel big time. That is a point to be made.
The Jews in Rome are the ones who are still in control of everything. Excuse me, sis, my bad.
Mm-hmm. No, that's okay. I just wanted to say that is a valid point. Rob, what do you have to say to that?
He would have been 100% right about 4 years ago. But as far as Trump is a verbal supporter of Israel. He said out his own mouth. So anybody tell you that Trump didn't say he was a supporter of Israel, they'd be making it up, because he said it out his own mouth in front of the people. I don't know which Trump it was, whether it was the skinny Trump, the fat Trump, the dumpy looking Trump. It's like 4 or 5 of them. I can't keep track. They keep switching them out so much. But the reality is if they tell them people in Gaza to leave, if Trump behind telling them to leave, just remember me telling you this. When everything is said and done, the dragon whips his tail.
so, Kemet. So you're not really fond of Trump. What are you saying?
I'm saying that Trump is just like the last president the United States had was Kennedy, and he was killed by the Mossad and the CIA and the Dallas police. Mm-hmm. See, I live in Texas, so I've been to the museum and everything where it happened and everything at.
There was so many people in on that assassination that wanted him dead.
Right, the mob too.
The mob wanted him gone. Castro wanted him gone.
Yep.
Yeah, Russia.
And my history teacher was actually Harry Oswald's best friend. And so he was teaching us back then how it was all conspiracy. You know, Harry Oswald is like a librarian, and how they set him up and said he was on top of a roof somewhere because he was a librarian and was able to do it. And now they're saying it was in the car. It would have to have been in the car easy. But I've always
they got another alternate view from similar to the Zapruder tape that's showing the driver shooting Kennedy in the head.
Right. But I definitely see that as far as Kennedy, I guess I would say that he was more so trying to be like for the people's agenda and not actually do what the powers that be essentially want you to do. And the president has to do that. Like when you say that someone is for Israel, what American politician is not for Israel? Isn't Israel American?
John
I mean,
Kennedy
did they? Yeah. So like what would it be without that, like going against the government as a whole? Or
they said the video out.
Oh yeah, of the different view I think they're talking about.
Oh my bad. Look at me. My bad.
Killed in the car. But what would it look like for like someone to go against Israel? How would we even get the government to go against Israel? Or would that have to be like turning down the American system altogether?
But Dulcim, why is Israel that America has to take up for Israel? I
Because
always
they,
wonder.
Because
they put them there.
started it.
They put them there.
Exactly, they put them there.
Because the Rothschild
They
family.
started it in 1947, right? Or
48.
48.
48.
Yeah, so it's American. Israel is American.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I'm trying to figure. I thought it was the whole Bible thing because I'm trying to figure out why.
No.
No,
Rothschild family went over there and
not
said
at all.
that land's gonna be called Israel, and or it's gonna be called. They bought the land, the Rothschild family, and what they did was being puppets because they're not even really in control like people think they are. However, they are one of the richest families, though, over $500 trillion, because that Federal Reserve Bank belongs to them and I think Rockefeller.
Mm-hmm.
Used to.
Why you say used to, brother?
It's been liquidated.
What does that mean?
It's gone. The
Assets have been,
Federal Reserve is done.
So what you're saying is, Dulcie, you said they're Americans, so they're not really. So are they fake or fake Jews over there? So what?
She's talking about the establishment of Israel. 1945, the United States got with Britain and France to form the first, convene the first United Nations meeting, where they established the United Nations, drew up the charter. America was not allowed to be, because of the Constitution, an official member.
Right.
So they became a permanent seat as a guest on what they call the Security Council.
Mm-hmm.
So once they got that, they started going and recruiting other nations, and they had 10 destinations, 10 areas around the world that they picked to set up and establish the state of Israel.
Right.
This was the continuation of World War I's Balfour Declaration, where they agreed to finance the war if they would establish the state of Israel. And so they carried it out. In 1948, they went in. Back then, the West Bank was half Egypt and half Syria, I think. And they bombed the shit out of them. And then they moved all of the refugees from Germany and Poland and all that to set up the state of Israel over there. That was actually the lines of demarcation for modern Israel was carved out by a Negro.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name was Ralph Bunch, if I'm not mistaken. But he was the one that went over there, and it was because of his report that they settled on putting it in the Middle East. But it was 10 different locations, and they all listed online. You can look them up. That was potential sites for the state of Israel. So this might help you.
What this showed was there were Palestines over there.
Well, okay. The land
First
was
thing it said Palestine, Dots.
yes, that it was called Palestine. That's correct. So after the war, right? As a way, well, how history kind of purports it is that after the war, it's this thing of, oh my God, we feel so bad. Germany, how dare you? Look what you did during the Holocaust to these Jews. And Jews, the Ashkenazi, those that identify Israel, not those that you would say look like us, but like Ashkenazi Jews, and even some Sephardic, needed a place to go. And so, ultimately, he's trying to break down how it happened, how the land was chosen. But ultimately, from 1946, where you see the territory listed as Palestine to where we are today in 2025, Palestine is pretty much wiped off the map. And he's giving the reasons why that is.
And I think that's causing a lot of wars over there, too, between those.
Well, it's occupied land. Any territory that's occupied by a foreign force and the original people is still resisting the foreign force, that war not over until the original people are either totally annihilated or they surrender or they leave. That's the only way you can take somebody else's territory. So what Israel been doing is creating conflict. We got to remember the CIA and the Mossad, the KGB before the fall of the wall, MI6, MI5, all of them work together to fund, finance, train these people that they keep telling us the terrorists. They the instigators of the warfare, the conflicts, and all of the money, most of the money that comes from for funding them come from over here. That go for Al Qaeda. That go for ISIS. ISIS was created and funded under the Obama administration. Then you got Hamas was created and funded by the Mossad to try to replace the PLO. All of those so-called terrorist organizations, and we forget that when Russia was fighting the war against Afghanistan, America was financing the Mujahideen, and then they turned around and that's who we was going to war with. America was going to war with the Mujahideen when they was bombing Afghanistan. Now they taking all this money over to Afghanistan with no cause.
Nothing.
Who they hold all the money to? Why they giving them all of these billions of dollars? Because it's more than millions. They was taking over like what's it say, $50-60 million a week to Afghanistan. Who you giving it to? They was giving it to the farmers that they was paying to produce opium poppies so that they can flood the American community with heroin. And then they found out how to refine heroin and turn it into some other stuff that they call fentanyl.
And weren't all those Mujahideen, especially in Afghanistan, they were, I know Osama bin Laden, when they trained in School of America, and when they given the Medals of Honor.
The CIA set up a military training resistance in Iraq, because Iraq was America's ally at the time. And the United States military was training the resistance of the Mujahideen to fight against the Russian forces that was coming into invading from the north. Right? See, they were struggling and fighting for a pipeline, or oil pipeline from Uzbekistan to the Red Sea. And that's how Kuwait got caught slant drilling into Iraq. That caused the Iraqis to bomb Kuwait in the first Gulf War in 91. Right? And because Hussein had put a hit out on the old man Bush, his son got to be president. He wanted some get back. He hooked up with Dick Cheney, executive of Halliburton, because he was going to get all of the rebuilding contracts to make him hundreds of billions of dollars in the reconstruction of the infrastructure of Afghanistan and Iraq post-war. All of them was in on it. That 9/11 shit was an inside job 100%.
That's right. Yep.
Yes, Rob, what do you think about all these different people like George Soros? And what was the person that that had something to do with the vaccinations? I cannot think of his name.
Fauci.
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 Crimes against humanity.
Now, and what's going on with him and Bill? No, what's his name, y'all? Y'all know him tomorrow. All of a sudden, people online now saying they enemies. The rich guy.
Bill Gates.
Come on. What's his name?
You talking about Gates?
The one, no, not Bill Gates. The other one, the one that got the little boy that's supposed to be saying all the stuff in the office. Oh, I can't call his name.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. So what do y'all think about the different people that's now in office that got a lot of control? They said Elon Musk is just as powerful as he is. That's what they're saying online.
Listen, Elon Musk got a bone. Elon Musk is doing everything he can to rebel against his father. See, if y'all know how the pale face operate, because I grew up with them, and the sons, for some reason, always got to try to conquer their father. That's like a way they wired, especially when they rich. I grew up around poor ones and rich ones and middle class ones. The rich ones, they trying to conquer their father. Elon Musk take on that personality trait. He don't agree with his father's participating in the apartheid regime in South Africa, owning the emerald mines. That's where their money come from. He took his cut of the family fortune, left, and got into tech and finance. That's why he ended up with PayPal and all that stuff. And so his father want him to be instrumental in the new Boer movement to reclaim South Africa from the South Africans. He didn't want no part of it. That's why he in America. And so when he come over here, the billionaires hang out together. He meet Trump and they hit it off. Elon Musk, he's restricted. It's only so much stuff he can do. But whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Bill Clinton, no matter who you see in Washington, they're a puppet.
Right.
And don't none of them call no shots. They just taking the credit for everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't think that Elon Musk put a lot of money up to help Trump win the presidency?
I bet he did. He didn't need to though, because he was going to win regardless.
Right.
Right.
But he probably did give him a whole ton of money. But that ain't why he got his position. He got his position for his skill set, what he know how to do.
Right.
He know how to run down them lost dollars.
So do you think it was right for him to put Fauci in? Fauci.
Who?
Fauci and
because he ain't giving no. He ain't just giving no. This after this election, he ain't put Fauci nowhere.
Yeah, he just pardoned Fauci, so now all the things that were going to go against him.
No, that was Biden that's supposed to pardon.
Pardoned him before he left, but he's up in no position.
Oh, he's not. I thought Fauci had a position. Kennedy.
He gonna have a position.
Kennedy that has the position on health.
Who?
Yeah.
Who is
Kennedy.
it? Yeah,
Kennedy.
Kennedy. That's
but
what
look, Fauci gonna have a position, but it ain't gonna be what you think.
Well, I mean, what the heck do Kennedy know about all that he got the position for? But I'm saying his family talked about him so bad during the election. I mean, his family say he's a complete opposite of his father. His family came on talk. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but his family talked. They talked some talk about him.
Well, people are going against him because he's against Big Pharma. Like, he's taking on the major number one enemy of the state. So, I mean, like, I'm for him.
Hey, let's track that
about Big Pharma.
Not just Big Pharma, the food too.
But let's track.
He's talking about how health. It's not supposed to be maintained by the amount of pills, by the amount of shots that they put in people. It's about how you eat, how you live, be healthy. That's what Kennedy is for. That's why he was put in that position and going against Big Pharma. And that's why all the people that are falling under Big Pharma is going against them, calling him crazy, saying, oh, he don't know what he's talking about, all this other stuff. When he said, oh, Black people have strong immune systems. They're not supposed to.
Yeah, Angela also Brooks being from Maryland. It was like, girl, what are you doing?
Wait, say that again. Say that one more time.
No, I said Angela also Brooks is from Maryland, so it was just kind of like, girl, what are you doing? Like, what?
Oh yeah,
wait, say that one more time.
Kennedy said Black people's immune system are strong, and they're not supposed to be taking all these vaccines and all these shots and everything. And Black people were in an outroar about it. Like, how dare he? How dare he say that? He doesn't want us to be healthy. What?
Right. Our systems is. We are not created equal. Our systems is different. We shouldn't be taking the same thing that y'all taking. We different.
Right. I'm with you on that, Nene. Go ahead, say it, girl.
I mean, these people, for real, people that look like me, some of y'all need to get it together.
Okay.
Mentally.
But it's the propaganda. We fall for the propaganda so fast. It's just like all you have to say is, oh, they're against us. He's trying to have us die quicker and everything. And everyone's like, oh, Kennedy is horrible. And they're not even listening to what he's saying because he's trying to bring in natural healing.
I remember that. That was crazy. Did y'all see that video of okay, hold on. I want to show y'all a quick video. Tell me what y'all think of this. Because, you hear oftentimes about Trump being racist and X, Y, and Z, all right? So, wait. 1 second.
Don't start. I've been nice to Trump now. Don't get me started. I've been nice to Trump.
No. This is with Angela.
So what I'm hearing is everybody's feeling like Trump is starting off good. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, no. You know what I would say? I think that and I always say this, I think that he's doing what he said he was going to do. And, and I've said this before, I think that, they're all, in my opinion, they're all demons, right? I just
Yep.
think that people are used to the demon that you don't know or the devil you don't know. We're used to people coming in front of us, smiling, shucking and jiving and saying what we want to hear. And then behind the scenes, going about it as usual, whereas you have somebody saying, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And he's actually doing it. I mean, I don't, for me, I'd rather operate with the devil I know than the devil I don't know, but that's just me.
Well, I still, I don't know what to believe anymore and what not to. And I'm trying to figure out which is correct and which isn't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the fake news from the real news anymore. I just gotta just wait and see what happens.
But I'm not going to operate in fear. But I think also I'm not going to operate in fear. And I'm not going to act like, oh my God, the world is falling. Oh my God, the next 4 years are so dangerous. Oh my God. Listen, we have gone through how many centuries of hardship, of war upon us, I mean, this has been our life. If nothing else, we are survivors. So I don't fear anything. I don't think the next 4 years are going to be any worse than they have been, in my opinion, than what our people have gone through for centuries. I mean, we
Right.
break it. Life goes on.
Absolutely.
I can say I like the stuff that he's doing. I don't see any bad that he's done, and I can't say that there's something that I'm opposed to right now that he's doing so far. But this is just the beginning, I guess, as time will tell. But so far, so good.
Mm. Well, like I said, I have to admit that I agree with some of the things that he's trying to do. But I also was wondering why if he's seeing that the prices are going up on foods and things like that, what is he doing to try to bring it down? Is it because we usually do trade with different countries?
No,
You know what I mean? And now he's stopping the trading. So now it's not enough coming in, so it's making things go up higher. I've been trying to figure out why this
you
is going
you
on.
got to know how inflation works. Inflation is predicated upon the number of dollar notes in circulation in relation to the amount of money that is being spent. When they call themselves adjusting the interest rates, they changing the value of the dollar at its source. That's why back in the 50s or 60s, a candy bar was a nickel. They $2 now. Uh, Everything over a nickel is inflation. And inflation is a side effect of fractional reserve banking. It's the hole at the bottom that keep leaking, and they instead of patching it, they try to make it worth more on the top. It's illusionary theft. Your money being stolen from you through an attrition model that gradually creeps up, and before you know it, you broke.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand a little bit, but I'm just saying, how's he gonna fix it?
First, you got to find out where the money going. That's what the audit is. You got to know where the money going in order to stop the leaks. Instead of nobody ever tried to stop the leak, they only just opened up another pipe. That's why you got all of these different agencies getting all of this money for foreign aid, and they sending money around the world. That's so that the dollar can circulate globally to give it an artificial value. The US dollar is a fiat note. It doesn't have anything backing it
Nothing.
but air.
Yep. Since 1933, but that they got rid of the gold and silver standard. But I know you were saying this before, Sister Freedom, about inflation and saying, is it the American First policy that's causing it? But inflation had already been out of control. I mean, like we were experiencing $20 for eggs during the Biden administration, so inflation was already out there. So it's true what Rod is saying about the eggs, but what you were saying as far as with the international thing, the problem is that when we had our products and we're going to try to get our products imported into different areas or different countries, they're applying a tariff on our products. They're making us pay for our products to be anywhere else, but for their products, we weren't making them pay anything. We're just taking their products in and everything, and that's what was shutting down our factories here,
Right.
us making things, different things like that. So that's a major problem, because if you aren't supplying people with jobs here, but you're still increasing inflation, how is that going to help with consumer spending? They don't have the money to spend. So what he's saying is now that we're going to start applying tariffs first off to say, hey, no, if you want to sell your goods here, there is going to be a tariff applied to you. And as well, he's saying there's going to be tax cuts if you start your industry back here and it's American made. So that's not what's causing inflation. That's something he's trying to do to combat.
And if everybody has noticed, I don't know if, I think this is nationwide. Okay. Taxes went up, everybody's mortgage went up, all this, it just seems like instead of things going down, they all went up.
But also, we got to remember, because we're globally interdependent, right? So we forget that other countries in the world have been dealing with terrible economy, high inflation for decades now. It's going to have an effect, right? We don't operate in a nucleus. We're globally interdependent. That's important to remember as well.
But see, the Trump model forces us to do first domestic work before we trade overseas. Like, for instance, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler make the cars. It's going to be so much cheaper to buy a domestic-made car that you ain't going to even want a Volvo unless you were a trillionaire. Mercedes-Benz, Infiniti, Lexus, all of those cars are over here from what we call free trade agreements. The European models come through the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, where I don't know why they call it that, because most of the trade that they was giving concessions to was in Europe under the European American Alliance. What they call that? NATO, right? But they call it the North American Free Trade. It was supposed to only be Canada, United States, and Mexico that don't tariff each other. But the benefits of that leaked over to other places too, because they started using it as a precedent to allow them to give other people concessions. So now you got Japanese in the Pacific Trade Agreement, and the Chinese and the Koreans and the Vietnamese is making a killing on us because they're killing us with the labor force. So all of the American business started trying to get a factory over there to get their products built over there, because the tariff coming back in was worth them to support the slave labor. It's the same with cars built in Mexico that's to be sold in North America. They moved all those plants, Ford, Chrysler, GM, to Mexico to get that cheap labor so that they don't have to pay the worker in America. And this is only possible through taking the tariff off foreign goods while they still taxing and tariffing the goods that we export. Then you have other stuff going on with the farms. Like, they got more farmers paid not to farm than they actually have farming. That's in order to use the GMO model to mass produce nutrition depleted food at an alarming rate in order to feed a whole bunch of people. You're filling their stomachs up, but you're not giving them no nutrition. That's what Robert Kennedy's job is, right? Speaking of Robert Kennedy, when you want to know why his family have an issue with him, you just backtrack. Where do their family money come from? The Kennedys, they come from mafioso. The Onassis is the other side of the family that came in under Jacqueline when she married Aristotle. He was a shipper, right? He had ships. And what do shippers ship for the most amount of money? Oil. So, of course, anything that interfered with the petrodollar, because America's dollar was only secured by its ability to maintain Aramco and OPEC currency standard as the standard of trade for oil. Now, when we talk about third world countries and other countries, you look at it like you could take $100 to Mexico and you might get 2,000 pesos. And them 2,000 pesos, you spend up, buy a whole bunch of stuff over there and cash in, then they give you back a couple of dollars, but you got $3,000-4,000 worth of goods for a little bit of American money. That's because of the inflation of Mexico. There's no reason the people of Mexico need to be poor, but they're not allowed to trade in their goods from the Mesoamerican War and being put on a embargo. They're not allowed to trade oil on the national world stage, but they produce just as much oil as the Middle East. So we rather ship the oil from the Middle East to let Mexico get some money just on the south of the border because they're too close. It's all kind of dirty dealers playing this game, and we not understanding the game, so we can't even play. We could just talk about the people that play it.
We're not understanding the game. Ding, ding, ding.
Rod, what do you think about when they say we're $40 trillion in deficit? And what do you think about that national deficit?
A deficit is only a year's loss. And they got a national debt that's the carryover from all of the losses of previous years. They owe that money to us. That's what the debt is. The debt is to us, the tribes of the land, us. They owe it to us. They got to keep a record of everything that they're doing. So when they give it back, they got to have an accounting of where the money went. Right? You can pull out an almanac. Most people don't know this. You could pull out an almanac and you can look at any country in the world and you can see how much money America give them in economic aid. And then you can look at how much they put back into the country from all of the countries they finance around the world. And then you do a comparison to how much they actually use over here. And you're going to be so pissed off that you say, well, why is they sending all this money around the world when we need to be taking care of home first? That's because they don't belong here. They not us. They don't belong on the land. They just here occupying our territory, and they're using our land and the resources of this land as the bank that they got a bottomless pit to, because we ain't never been poor until they came over here. We didn't know what poverty was. We didn't know what prison was. They brought all that with them. That's all military orchestrated by a foreign military agency. The president ain't who people think he is. He's not a civilian leader. He's a civilian elected leader of the military. Only thing in charge of is the military. Everything he doing every executive order is a continuation of a martial law that was declared years ago. That's why they can't overturn most of his orders, because they're in the continuation of martial law. We don't even know we under martial law, been under martial law since the gold collapse. We've been in the police state, occupied territory. If you don't understand occupation and being occupied by a foreign agency, you will never understand what's going on in this country.
I wanted you to see that. What I put up there.
Look, they produce so much more. That's pennies. That's pennies. Go look at the value of oil that they produce. Where is they in the ranking of oil producers? Just because they give one country some oil, that don't mean they have free trade. Mexico does not have free trade or they be rich. Look at how much nickel they produce, cobalt. They've got a whole lot of resources, but they ain't got no money. This is what I'm making reference to. That Cuba had been under embargo since the 50s, and they was making trade with China and with Russia. Just because they're under embargo, there are certain countries that doesn't have to honor that.
So I guess Trump said, not no more. We ain't giving nobody nothing. Because I know he was, I think Dulcie was saying that he ain't completely cut, or was it Dots? I can't remember, but I do remember hearing the president of Africa or somebody high up in Africa saying that he cut them off, but it's showing them they have to be strong now. They got to get up bootstraps.
And you hear what the other African leader told him. Why y'all mad? That ain't your money.
Right.
Y'all got y'all own money. It just open you up.
Then he said the majority of the stuff they was doing was running off American money. America was helping Africa, like really helping them.
They was probably throwing some money into some despote's pocket to overthrow a righteous dictator a righteous leader like Patrice Lumumba. Look, when people are in poverty, it's like being trapped in a trap. A dog will bite his leg off to get free. If you got a person in the country that's fed up and he got leadership capabilities, and then you got somebody that's moving into the top, and you can give him the resources to overthrow him, you're going to establish a coup every time. America didn't finance more coups around the world than any other country in the last 50 years. Not only coups, assassinations. Look, it's not a coincidence that soon as the 25-year moratorium on state sanctions assassinations was lifted, the first person head of state to die was Laurent Kabila, because he was establishing and working with Gaddafi to establish an autonomous system over there. They never wanted any of those countries to be free, and they don't never want us to know that this is our country and we're supposed to be trying to establish our own stuff over here. They want us to keep fighting from the bottom like we don't know where we belong on the land.
Yeah.
Because that's the system.
Yeah. It's designed that way. We keep looking at this stuff like it's not designed this way. And they be like, oh, ain't nobody in America supposed to be homeless. Bullshit.
Right.
Bullshit. The American system is designed to create homelessness so you would have never had sharecropping agreements.
That's right.
You would have never had squatters' rights. All that is to facilitate somebody displacing and making the people from the land homeless in order for them to occupy their territory.
It's making everybody believe that, making all us believe that we everybody is from Africa.
Right. There you go.
That's to disassociate you from the land. Because if you think you from Africa, you ain't gonna feel like you have a vested interest, and it'll minimize how hard you're willing to fight for this over here.
Right.
Exactly.
If Victor tell the story, he gonna tell the story in the way that's gonna keep him in power the longest.
That's exactly what they did and what they trying to do. And if anybody falls into it, I explain. I have these conversations. I make sure I do every single day with different people. But this is your land right here.
This is, you're saying this is the land for black people right here, Africa.
This is our land. This is our land.
Okay,
I'm talking about American. I'm talking about American copper people.
However, you do a DNA test, it's gonna send you right back to Africa.
Oh no, that I don't.
Okay. Let's deal with the DNA test.
Yeah.
Let's deal with the DNA test. The people that made the DNA test wrote in the fine print.
All kind of different DNA tests, though. I know what you about to say, Rod. And
they say they for entertainment purposes only. The only DNA test that's accurate is like nuclear family. Like you could tell who a parent and the child is, but you can't tell who a great-great-grand is. The markers won't show up because there's too many variables to choose from when you get past like 4-5 generations.
That's true.
Now they gonna tell
your second, third, fourth cousin at most.
Look, Henry Louis Gates when he was doing
it can't connect you to anyone dead. It can only connect you to two living people. But between
I did my
genealogy,
I ain't see no Africans in it.
But look, Henry Louis Gates said this. He was doing Oprah's, and he said, "Who believed that you could spit on the swab and tell you who a tribe of yours is on the other side of the world?" He told his partner in the lab that when Oprah said she was Zulu, he said, "We're making it up as we go anyway. You might as well make her Zulu."
Before we migrated,
Sharice trying to bring.
that's a fact.
Why do you keep
Wait,
saying
what'd you
that,
say?
though?
Wait, what'd he say?
Before we migrated anywhere on the planet, we were all in Africa.
That's bullshit. Before we migrated anywhere on the planet, we was all over here.
You don't
They
have no
told us
proof
the
of that.
story in reverse.
Nah, man.
You don't have no proof of that, though. You just speaking what somebody else said. You
Yeah,
don't
it's
have
a
no proof
belief,
of that.
so it's okay for him to believe those things. But as far as when it comes to actual, facts that are being brought up for you, I know you're going to go from one thing to the next once it's debunked. But you started with the DNA, and Rod is absolutely correct as far as what DNA can and cannot do. It cannot place you against land. It cannot tell you what tribe you're associated with. It can only connect you amongst living people. That's the only thing that DNA can accurately do, and it can only do that up to certain generations. So once it starts getting to 6 to 8 cousin, different things like that, it gets real sketchy. They don't know. They're like, oh, it will even say 0.0 of the DNA, not sure. They don't know what side of the family it is or anything because it's getting less accurate the more distance you're having.
Right.
So what you're going for is what people have taught you, the belief sides of it, that is entertainment only, to be like, okay, now we have this foundation of something that's true, and now I'm just attaching things that are entertainment only. But a DNA test will also say, oh, you like taking a lot of naps, you like running or anything like that, and all that's entertainment. That's not something that's accurate scientifically that they can look at your DNA and say, okay, I can tell you like to run. It's just something that they're putting together for enjoyment of people so they can look at those things. The only actual thing that it shows on your DNA test is your family members that you have.
And with that being said, they tell you that you can guarantee up to the second cousin that's your family. Everybody else is questionable. So if you think about what they're saying, if they can only do but so much, how do you expect them to be so accurate on where we came from? Think about that. That don't make sense.
It's impossible.
Sister Freedom, I'm sorry. Is it okay if you just share my screen briefly?
That's what I was trying to say, Sharice. I've seen this done. I was like, I think
I want to ask Rod Hayes about.
How y'all doing?
Hey.
Dean, wait a minute.
Well, hold on, Sister Freedom. Hold on.
Okay,
She
go
brought
ahead,
up
go
it
ahead.
because she wanted to ask Rod Hayes a question about that. Let them exchange about the video before we go on and move around.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was a perfect segue, obviously.
If y'all not talking, can y'all mute up?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it was a perfect segue, obviously, since we done went into this conversation. I just wanted to talk to you about this clip that is going around on Instagram, and where did that come from? And I mean, I was dying laughing, and I thought it was amazing, of course, but I mean, I just kind of want you to speak to it a little bit more. Did like someone pose a question to you in your chat, and then this came out, or you were just speaking and just letting us know what time it was?
I was at the time under a full-fledged assault by some Moors and some slave ship Africans, and they was all in my comments trying to convince me we from Africa. And they pissed me off, so I told them how I felt. I don't mind y'all being here if y'all from Africa. We've been intermarrying Africans for thousands of years. That ain't nothing new. But the core stock of who we are always been here. That's what people keep neglecting. They thinking that, first of all, the people all over the world, you got different skin color, different hair textures, but the original people all over the world was melanated, curly haired, and kinky haired people. And the people over here fit the same mold, whether they was Mayan, Aztec, Inca, Toltec, it don't matter. Old Mississippi and Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, it don't matter. The majority of them was very dark. You had some that was very dark with straight hair, and you had some that was very dark with very kinky hair, and then you had the ones in the middle. Hair textures in the middle. Then you had skin tones from high yellow, red bones, yellow bones, all the way to the darkest of chocolate
Jet
we
black.
was already here. We didn't see people by skin color until the English brought their caste system and their military strategy, and this military strategy is white supremacy. So this is what we've been fighting, and then they mix on other people, some Negropeans in with us, like we not gonna know them when they don't even vibe on the same frequency that we do. They got a whole different way they do things. Then they was switching the babies out in the hospitals. Everybody think that was just happening to pink folks. That was happening to us too. All they got to do is find two parents with similar phenotype, and they gonna switch the baby for their nature versus nurture experiments. All of this stuff is all in the books.
Everybody meet up while Roddy's talking. We can still hear like something beating in the background.
Yeah.
Sorry
So
about that, Rod.
yeah. So when they got in my comments talking about nigga, you know you an African. I ain't no African. I don't have no problem with Africans, but people believe because I say I'm not an African that I have a problem with Africans. I love Africans. I just don't love them more than I love me. I'm just not African. That's not a fault of man. That's just who I am. And African people been telling me the whole time that the people saying we from Africa lying to us. So now my ancestors, my elders, and the people in my family and family friends that's age, they all been telling me the same thing. We ain't from Africa. Africans telling me ain't from Africa. Now I go into these educational systems and these brainwashed Negroes keep trying to convince me I'm from Africa on a ship. And I know good and well when I touch that Mississippi clay dirt, I ain't never felt nothing like that. I know I belong there.
And
Well,
that's
that's what that was about.
I ain't never hear. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for a continental African, right, to tell me which of their family members were sold in the slave ships across the Atlantic Ocean.
That part.
And
That part.
once I hear that, then I can understand. But I have yet to find one. And
Yeah, I
and
always ask people that. I always say, find me one authentic African ancestor in your genealogy, in your lineage. Please show me one. Please.
Well, some people can show one, but it ain't a whole lot of us.
Then they not us.
Look,
The information that they get about the slave trade came from America.
it's an educational doctrine written in Notre Dame University. That's why the slave ship blueprint is the blueprint for the cathedral. It's a perfect overlay.
I was just getting ready to bring in the Vatican. Go ahead. You got it.
It's a perfect overlay. Notre Dame's cathedral that caught on fire, I think it was in 2019, it caught on fire. The blueprints for the slave ship, I'm gonna show you the blueprint because some Hebrew Israelites just gave me some papers to try to convert me into being or recruit me into their little, what I do with that paper?
They were trying to convert you.
And you know what else? When the slave trade was supposedly taking place, it wasn't even called Africa. It wasn't even called Africa at that time. So I don't even know. I don't even know how they getting that half the stuff. You can tell us all just like made up history, so you won't be able to, say that you have a part of this land. That's why at first, if that was the case, we would have always been called African Americans, and that wasn't the case. We were called Negroes, we were called Coloreds, and whatever Indians, whatever tribal names we had, way before we were called anybody's African Americans. And here's another thing.
You see that slave ship right there?
Well, let me see. Yes.
Yeah, the same model.
Fake. That's fake.
This is the overlay of the blueprint to the Cathedral of Notre Dame. I mean, it's a perfect overlay. That's not no accident.
But the issue is what I ask people all the time. I was talking to Natural Tahuti, and I asked him a question. I said, listen, you see what Rod just showed? I'm telling you, it is impossible for 90 days for somebody to be laying chained up on a boat with, and I'm going to say this, poop, pee, and spit up, okay? you go after a while, after 3 or 4 days, you're gonna start getting bed sores, okay, from laying on some hardwood. Who was going down there cleaning up all that? You see how close them people were? How they make it look?
Yep. But see that when I asked that question, they all got mad. One dude came on Sonetta team, told me they had a drainage valve at the bottom of the ship. I said bullshit, because nowhere in the blueprint do they show the drainage valve.
And listen, they go so much as to say, I said, well, how did all these people get over here from Africa? From Africa, how did thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago, the people, somebody said they walked over during the ice age. I said, when you ever heard of Africa being in ice? That don't even make no sense. They walked over. So, okay, if they walked over when it started getting cold, they start feeling the cold over here. What they wrap themselves in? What did they eat, drink, and all that when they walked over? That don't even make no sense to me. Just like the whole boat ride. Their bodies they'd have been halfway dead by the time they got over here. They'd have been dead. All of them would have probably been dead from the smell and the suffocation of the urine smell and the feces and all of that. It's just would have made you so sick that you would have just died. You
been on a cruise before?
Oh yeah, I just came off a cruise, and
okay. Hold on, slow down. Look, I want to go walk through this cruise for a minute, just to give people some understanding of what it takes to move a mass amount of people. Do you know how many people was on the cruise?
A lot.
The estimate?
I really don't know how many people, but it was hundreds. I do know that.
Okay, let's just say 500 people.
Okay.
Okay, now, do they got a full kitchen on the ship?
Yes.
And they got a full dining room on the ship?
Yes.
Okay. Who was cooking and who was running the mess hall for all these slaves? Who was chaining them and unchaining them for their meals? That's if they was using a modern cruise ship.
But that wasn't back then. They only had wooden boat.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. They didn't
have what we have now. You can even look it up when the first ship was even made that ran by like how we have it now. You could look that up. They didn't have that back then.
The numbers don't match.
It does. And if you land on something that hard, try it now. Even when you sitting on like a stool and it's hard wooden, you got to put a cushion or something because it'll start hurting you where you got to move around and it just doesn't work. Your body don't work like that. It'll start breaking down.
Yeah.
It just don't make. I work with people with how bed sores start and all of that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, for sure. Dean, what were you saying? Sorry about that. Come on in, Dean.
I was just saying hello. I just
What's
wanted
up?
to ask.
Hi, Dean.
My question to each one of y'all is, how y'all doing?
Fine.
Doing good.
Just sit back and eating the popcorn right now.
Okay, I'm just saying you got to start making sense out of nonsense. It don't make no sense, and it ain't our information. I keep